This is a medium questions. All right, so let's go into it. Given an array of integers, temperatures represents the daily temperatures. Return an array answer such that answer at the index I is the number of days you have to wait after the I day to get a warmer temperature. If there is no future day for which this is possible, keep answer at the index I equals 0 instead. All right, so if you take a look at the examples, so basically this is the example that was taken from the example number 1. All right, so the input is going to be an array of temperature like this, right? And the output will be the number of days at the index I of when how many days will it need to wait to get a hotter day. So for example, if you look at the first of the zero index number is 73, right? And the number of days that it needs to wait for the temperature to rise, that means it must be higher than 73, right? So here on the next day is 74. That means that the number of days that it needs to wait is equal to 1. All right, so what next is that 74, that's for the second day, we need to wait for 1 day to become higher temperature, and that's going to be 1. And at the third day, we need to wait until 1, 2, 3, 4. So we need to wait for 4 days until we get a high temperatures, right? That's why we get the output as 4 here. So on and so forth, right? So 71 here has to wait for 2 days to get 2. All right. So and in here there's no higher temperature after this day, so the answer here is going to be 0, right? So I think it is very simple to see, it is very easy to see that this problem can be solved by using a brute force approach, right? But the brute force approach is that we just need to have two loops, right? Or we can call it a nested loops. And that is going to be like this, is that we can have the I temperature, right? And then the nested loop is going to start from the index number I plus 1, and that's going to be here, right? So we can put an if condition, is that if temp at I is more than temp at j, right, we can just simply and take j minus I, right, and that is going to be num of day to wait, right? And we can just simply insert this number inside the output array to do that, right? And we just need to do so once when it meet this condition, we have to continue and then move I, right, to the next one, and then j will be from the next one too, right? So if we keep doing this, we can simply get the solution like this too. But then, as you all know, that the brute force approach with 2 nested loops is going to give you the time complexity of the big O of n squared, and that is really slow, right? So we want to improve the time complexity of the solution, right? So there's another way to do this. It's that we can actually use stack, right? And to solve this problem, by using stack, we can reduce the time complexity to the big O of n. How are we going to solve that? I'm going to show you. So basically, we need a results outputs, right? And that's going to be equal to the number of length of the temperature. Why? Because the return output here, number here, will always be equal of length to the temperatures array here, right? So in this case, right, so we can use it. So in this case, we're gonna have a bunch of zeros. 1, 2, 3 will be just like the number of zeros here will be the same as the number of the temperatures here. So it's going to be 8, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, like this, right? So once we do that, we need to start the iteration, of course. We're gonna put the bookmarks here, like not bookmarks, right? But we're gonna start to iterate from the first from the 0 index, right? So for the first one, 73, right? So it's the first one, so we don't know this. So we're gonna push that into the stack, right? But then we're not gonna push the number here alone. We're gonna include the index number of this one as well. And here the index number here will be equal to 0, right? And this index number here will be the index number of the stack. All right, so bear in mind, right? So that's gonna be temp and stack index, right? So so once we do this here, we're gonna move to this one, right? And then as you know here, the temperature of the first index here of the first index number here is larger than what it is on the stack, right? So if that is the case, right, we need to pop this one out, right? And and once we pop this one out, we're gonna get all the details, all the variables, the temp and the index from these stacks, and then we can change, and then we can use this number to change the number from the results array here. So for example, so here, right, it's at 73, right? So we want to change the index, right? It's going to be the rest at the index 0, right? So that's going to be stack index will be equal to the I here, which is 1, minus by the stack index. So it's going to be, so here is 0. Oh no, here I here is 1, right? Because that's from this number, and that stack rest and stack index here is 0, and that's going to be 1. So for the first for the 0 index here, it's going to change to 1, right? So we have to keep doing it. So once that we insert this number inside, we want to add the new number and the index number of that into the stack. So here it's going to be 1, and it's the same case here. So now we move to 75, right? So 75 is larger than 74, so we repeat the same step, right? So stack at index 1, and here it's going to be 2 minus 1, so it will be equal to 2 minus 1 will be equal to 1. So that's going to be changed here to 1, right? So okay, and then we pop this one out, and then we push 75 into the stack. that's going to be 2. All right, and then we move to 71, and now we can see that this one is the value on top, the temperature at the index number 3 is smaller than the temperature at the top of the stack. So when it happens, we just simply need to append that to the stack, right? And now here is 69, so we do the same thing because it's not larger than the top of the stack, right? That's going to be 4, and all right, and then 69 for, and then here you're going to see 72. Oh, there's no space here. I'm just going to draw it here. So we're going to see here at 72. 72 is larger than 69, right? So what we need to do is we need to pop this one out, right? And that's going to be index number 4, right? 72 is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That's like number 5. 5 minus 4, right? That's going to be equal to 1, right? It will be equal to 1. So at the index for 1, 2, 3, 4, here will be equal to 1, right? And then we after we pop this, right, we complete with this one. But then we can see that 72 is still larger than 71 here, right? So we need to do the same. We want to pop this one, right? 71, and that's the index 3, right? So that's going to be 3, and that's 5 minus 3 will be equal to 2, right? So here we're going to change it to 2, correct? And now we're going to pop this one, right? All right, so here we see now that 72 is smaller than 75, so we just append 72 on top of 75 and with the index number 5, right? And now we have 76, right? So we move this one to index number 6, and here 76 is larger than 72, so we do the same. We pop this one, we change to number 1 here at the index number 5, and then we pop it, right? And then we pop it from the stack, and then we pop and then we can see that 76 is now higher than 75, right? So now we can pop this one again, right, and do the same. We're gonna find out that here at the index number 2 of the stack, right? So and I will be equal to 6 minus 2, and that's going to be 4. So here we change to 4, right? And then the rest is going, and then we append 76 on the stack. And then once we append 76 on the stack with the index number 6, 73 is still smaller. So these two answers shall remain to be 0. So now that we understand the solution, right, we can go to the coding part. Oh, by the way, here we can see that the answers here is exactly the same as the output. All right, so as we said previously, right, we here we need to create a rest that first is going to be an array of 0, and that and the length will be equal to temperatures, right? And surely we need to create a stack, right? And we need to return the rest as the output for sure. And right, and since we want to append the stacks by 2 with 2 value, so we need to put, so we need to use the enumerate function to iterate. So for index and temperature in enumerate in temperatures, right? So stack dot append has to be index, has to be temperature, and that's going to be index. No, that has to be the index of stack. That's going to be stack index, right? And if so, now we need to put a okay. First, we need to be careful with this. Was if stack is empty, then we can't really compare, right? So we need to put if stack is true, just to make sure that the stack is not empty, right? If stack is true and the temperature is more than the temperature in the stack, right? So it has to be the top of the stack, and that's going to be the first value to access. That's going to be 0 index, because we want to insert this. Oh, I think this has to be in tuples. Okay, and right, if so we want to stack temperature from inside the stack, and index stack, right, equal to stack dot pop. So once you pop it, you want to adjust the rest, right? So we can say rest at the stack index. So okay, so here has to be index, I guess. Okay, so here rest index stack, not stack index. Right, will be equal to the index minus index stack. Right. Oh, this has to be in the while loops, right? Because we need to keep on popping the top elements if it is lesser than the temperature at the index I. Right. So that, I think that will be it, right? So right, let's try to submit and see if we get the correct answers. Alright, there you go. I completed it. Alright, so okay, thank you for watching.